So Bitcoin has successfully closed a week below the 200 weekly moving average after setting a new cycle bottom of about 58K and has already started printing another candle that's currently testing the line at 62K. So in this video, we're going to look at what could possibly play out in the short term and in the long term and how we can potentially take advantage. So stay tuned. Hi guys, Fireman Crypto here and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Bitcoin's price and how we're going to analyze the chart in general actually, and we're going to look at how Bitcoin has been doing in the past week and months since the leg down that we started in May and through June. So as you can see, we initially touched the 200 weekly moving average and we've successfully closed a week below that line and currently just printing another green candle that's currently testing it. So this is actually playing quite similar to the previous cycle, albeit there's a few differences, but bear with me here. If you look at the previous cycle, we can see that leg down started in May, although there could be a lot of arguments around whether or not it was the Terra Luna crash that triggered that, but it's literally started around April or cascaded all through May, and the crash happened in sort of about 5th of May. And as you can see, we did test the 200 weekly moving average and broke below it, and then printed a few weekly candles all below the line before testing it in July. So we kind of had like a short countertone rally that lasted from about mid-June all through towards the end of August, before finally going below the 200 weekly moving average and then leading towards Q4 before we had that final leg down, which also happened due to the FTX collapse. So you can argue that both events were in sync or might have been triggered by both crashes that happened that year, which all happened in 2022. Before finally in Q1 of 2023, we had that big fat candle that kind of took us all through to go to test the 200 weekly moving average and finally started our rally upwards that same year. So as you can see, if we do have a similar rally, countertone rally leading towards August, there's a possibility that we test 68K, given also this big fat resistance that exists over here. So we're potentially gonna have another candle that goes above the 200 weekly moving average, goes there and gets rejected, and then we'll start eventually have that final leg down in Q4 before finding our potential higher high that leads us out of the bear market eventually. Now, having said that, it's important to know that no cycle is identical, and at the very most, we can just track previous cycles, or at least a summary of it, or a simulation of an average of what previous cycles have done. And what they have mostly done is first half of the year have a fake rally following February's dump, and then eventually in the second half of the year have that mostly in May, June, July have a crash down to the 200 weekly moving average, or at least close to it, and then kind of have like a counterturn rally or kind of move a bit sideways before in Q4 October, November have that final leg down that goes to potentially set the cycle, the ultimate cycle bottom before we eventually start that pump upwards. So it's important to know that the cycles are not identical, but they can at the very most track it. So that's one perspective, looking at it as a time-based capitulation as opposed to the price-based capitulation. So a bottom can be set early if we do have a price-based capitulation, like in the case of the COVID, where we did have a sudden event that eventually crashed the entire markets down to a low that was unexpected and unheard of. And those are typically very quick and sharp, and the recovery is usually very sharp as well. So if we do have a price-based capitulation, chances are the bottom that might be set in Q4 might not be as low as that. So that might eventually end up being the cycle bottom. But other than that, especially given how we're trading right now, if we follow the time-based capitulation, it's looking much likely that we do have the bottom in Q4, and depending on whatever price people are calling, could be in the 50s, could be in the 40s, or much lower. Another important thing to consider for why the bottom might not be in just yet is when you look at the Bitcoin's realized price chart. As you can see, Bitcoin has typically always gone below the realized price in previous bear markets. So this is 2022, this is 2020, 2018, and 2014, 15, and even in 2011. So as you can see over here, we're typically very close, but we're not in yet. We've not touched the line at all, and chances are we will have to touch the price and go below it, and then kind of close outside of it. So if we are going to actually track previous cycles, ideally the price needs to go below the realized price of Bitcoin. So on a closing note, it's important to know that we're already below the 200 weekly moving average, and ideally this is already bear market bottom territory, and DCA is typically going to be a best strategy for at least approximating the bottom and having a good buy-in, as opposed to trying to actually time the main bottom, because it's not ideal, and you end up making very irrational decisions. In previous seasons, what people have tried to do is try to kind of trade this counter-turn rally and then eventually sell at the top and then try to get a few profits and eventually buy at the bottom. But DCA typically helps you maintain your position and just kind of buy, maybe have like a dynamic DCA whereby you buy much more when it dips even a bit lower. But ideally, stay safe and just DCA. We're already in the buy zone. Alright guys, that's the end of the video, and remember, do not invest more than you're willing to lose. Always do your due diligence, and this is not financial advice by any means, but remember to always do your own research, and do not trade with emotions. And if you love this video, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video with your loved ones and whoever might find this useful. And without any further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.